In films, there's always politics and stories, and the same applies to the festival, because if there are politics in the festival, and that has been criticized in the past, it's not because of the festival, it's because of the filmmakers. The film festival here in Cannes is simply an echo of the heartbeat of the world and the heartbeat of creation around the world. But it's clear that this year, for certain extremely political films, such as the Ken Loach film, you also have several filmmakers who have taken refuge in stories, in period films, in historical films. And without doubt, our current period, we know it's very violent. Our current period is not yet represented on the big screen. We might have to wait for a year or two before these subjects are portrayed on the screen by producers and filmmakers. But the film festival will be talking about love as every year. The film festival will also be talking about the way we live, well, badly, together in society, the way society is organized, the way in which people survive. Film is a huge instrument in knowledge of the world. As we know, Roberto Rossellini reminded us of that. The film festival, through its selection, which includes films from all over the world, it gives us an idea of what the world is all about. The Un Certain Regard selection is a kind of counter-program of the festival itself. That's the way I usually put it. There are a lot of young budding talents. There are 7 or 8 first films, for example. And Un Certain Regard focuses on films that come from small countries in the cinema world. Obviously, it's important for Cannes to continue this mission of making film more universal. And with my colleagues in the selection committee, we really strive to ensure that all kinds of countries are represented. It's important for countries to be represented in Cannes. It can enable a national industry to survive. It can allow producers, unions, writers to say, look, we are in Cannes, we need support to continue our industry. And Un Certain Regard is a section that enables us to show those first attempts by filmmakers that one day will be in competition. And this year, more than ever, in Un Certain Regard, there are young men and women who I'm sure we will be seeing in future years at a higher level. Choosing George Miller as the president of the jury is paying tribute to the genre film, to Australian film, and to that wonderful generation with Peter Weir and some others, which he incarnated for Australian film. He's also a man who is out on his own. He's not very, very well known. People say, well, who is the president this year? I say George Miller, and sometimes people hesitate. Oh, he directed Mad Max. Then it clicks. So this is a man like Joseph Mankiewicz, is less well known than his films, and that's what we wanted to pay tribute to. We wanted to pay him this tribute, to make him the president of the jury, because in his career, he's 70 years old. He's been in the business for 45 years, and he's been very modest throughout, with films that are famous, Mad Max, of course, and others are less well known, such as Lorenzo's Oil, which is a film with Suzanne Sarandon and Nick Nolte. And nobody knows that film. It's got nothing to do with the Mad Max films, and it proves that this man is an auteur. And also, he's a great guy. He's absolutely charming. He's a film lover. He's really interested in world and European film. And on that score, because when you're the president of the Cannes Film Festival, you have your jury and you have to demand a certain respectability. I think that the filmmakers who are in competition this year and who have seen Mad Max Fury Road will know that they have an equal who is a very generous man and is very demanding. He has all the qualities that you need to fulfill his role. Choosing the poster for the film festival is always hard every year because, if I can be so bold, I'd like to say that the poster has always been judged as successful, so the next one has to be as successful as the previous one. So for the past few years, we've chosen photographic posters with photos. In the past, we would often use paintings by Cocteau, Kurosawa, Fellini. They'd all done paintings which we used for our posters. But we wanted to continue to evoke film and evoke major characters in film. But we'd done everything. We'd used actors' faces, actresses' faces, and it was hard to change and to renew our approach. And then all of a sudden, in the mind of Hervé Kidjoni, our graphic designer, who also designed 2 previous posters, he had the idea of using the Villa de Malaparte. And that's an idea which we really liked because of that yellow colouring. It's a fiery, warm colour which has been added to the photo, which it doesn't usually appear in those shades, obviously. So it gave us an opportunity to pay tribute to Jean-Luc Godard, to Contem, to Michel Piccoli, to Brigitte Bardot, although she's not on the photo. Michel Piccoli is climbing those steps of Casa Malaparte, and so that makes him the first person to climb the steps here at the 2016 Film Festival. The poster also glorifies Italy, it glorifies the Mediterranean, and during the film festival, we don't look at that Mediterranean enough, so this is one way of highlighting the sea. And it's also a different look at the Mediterranean, which is the cradle of civilization, which is a sea that is the witness of many tragedies. And so it's a way of saying that we're not forgetting any of that, even though during 12 days we're only focused on film, but it's all linked to the news of what's going on in the world. Cannes Classic is one section within the official selection, and it consists in looking back at heritage films, our classic films, and we do the same work with those films as we do with modern films. There are people all around the world in film libraries, in companies, in governments, who are restoring films and who are ensuring that those films do not disappear. We paid particular attention to countries that aren't usually in Cannes Classic and which don't come to the festival. Slovenia, Hungary, Thailand, Pakistan. In each country of the world, there are masterpieces, little-known masterpieces. There are so many treasures in Cannes Classic 2016, including the world premiere of the huge documentary by THIERRY on French film, his journey through French film. The film festival here in Cannes always tries to bring innovation and to change the final evening, the closing evening. We decided rather than to screen a closing film, which often has a bit of a feeling of being left out, forgotten, the last thing which people just put on to fill a gap. Instead of all that, we decided to celebrate the Golden Palm, the Palme d'Or, because the Palme d'Or will be awarded at around 8:15 in the evening, and then it will be screened again half an hour later, immediately after the closing ceremony. And so the Palm winner will be screened. It might be a film which some people had seen the previous evening, or it might be a film from the beginning of the festival, so that everyone will have an opportunity to see it. And we hope that it won't be a film that's too long, otherwise we'll all be starving. But that's something we're going to try this year.